Hello and welcome to J4VR. Today we're going to be doing a different kind of video. Instead of the usual content, we're diving into something a bit deeper. A video essay on common ground theory and why it plays such a huge role in how we communicate and misunderstand each other, as well as connection to other people in general. Have you ever walked away from a conversation thinking, how did they not understand me? Or even worse, were we speaking a completely different language? That feeling isn't random. It's actually explained by something called common ground theory, a powerful ideology from communication science that explains why we misunderstand each other and how we can go about fixing it. Common ground theory originates in linguistics and psychology, especially the work of Herbert Clark. As its core, common ground is the shared knowledge, beliefs, and assumptions between people in a conversation. Think of it like this. Every time you talk to someone, you're relying on an invisible pool of shared understanding. This includes language, cultural references, contextual understandings, past experiences, and even inside jokes which require a higher understanding of information before being relayed to another person. Without the shared base, communication breaks down fast. Most communication problems don't happen because people are dumb. They happen because people assume common ground that isn't actually there. For example, use a technical term assuming the other person knows it, like augmented reality or virtual reality, instead of using the short and acronym version like VR and AR. Referencing a movie they've never seen, like quoting Star Wars but the other person has only ever watched Star Trek. Or inside jokes are jokes between friends that have different understandings than normal. As an example, the Nelk boys bullying Bradley Martin for doing drugs, even though he is a fitness influencer.
Alcoholic, and I learned from the best, Brad.
What do you, bro? You didn't learn this from me. You did this. This is you, bro. This is gonna be spicy. One of these.
I am like the second best alcoholic behind Brad.
Results in a common ground failure. And this shows up everywhere: workplace miscommunications, relationship arguments, and online debates, even everyday texting. When common ground is missing, people don't just misunderstand words, they misunderstand intentions. Everyone is capable and is constantly trying to build common ground, even if we don't realize it. We do this through a process called grounding. Grounding includes asking clarifying questions, nodding or saying in understanding, repeating or paraphrasing, or even adjusting language based on feedback. For example, in a CSGO reference, instead of saying, guys planting on site A, you could say, a bomb is being planted on site A. Funny enough, the acronym CSGO is a video game and the actual full name is Counter-Strike Global Offense. So if I were to ask somebody if they've ever watched a CSGO game or a CSGO esports match, but they've never heard of the acronym CSGO, but they play Counter-Strike Global Offense, that's where common ground theory comes in. Here's where things get interesting. The internet has made communication faster, but common ground weaker.
Why is that?
Why? Because online, you don't know your audience, you don't have a tone of voice or a contextual meaning, so therefore the context is missing in whatever textual evidence they provide. Like if I were to say, I hate Kanye in a tweet, right? I miss the old Kanye. I was referring to I hate the new Kanye.
Bad mood Kanye.
Then people would misunderstand me and be like, oh, you hate all like you just hate Kanye. People come from wildly different backgrounds. That's why social media arguments escalate so quickly, because some things are offensive to other people when you don't mean it in an offensive way. People aren't just disagreeing, they're opposing from completely different assumptions about the reality of your text given. If you want to communicate better, focus less on being right and more on building common ground. Here's how. Don't assume shared knowledge. Explain things simply when needed. Ask more questions.
Like, what do you mean by that?
Also, adapt to your audience. Talk differently to a friend, but not to a stranger. Check understanding. Does this make sense? And also be patient. Common ground takes time to build. At the end of the day, communication isn't just about speaking clearly, it's about sharing a mental space with somebody you may or may not know. And the more common ground you build, the easier it gets to build common ground. Wow. So, the next time a conversation goes wrong, ask yourself, what are we not sharing?
Thank you for your time. My name is J4VR. Subscribe. See you next time. See ya.